welcome all to another glorious day, another glorious episode of the Shutter Saga Podcast. I am your host, Marvin Blue. With me each and every episode is a special guest. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode. Thank you for the support. A couple ways to support the show, as always, is to like, subscribe, follow, hit that bell notification for the new episodes when they drop. Give us 5-star reviews on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you listen to your podcast platforms. Also, this show would not be possible without our wonderful sponsors. As always, we want to start off with our OG sponsors, the guys that have been with me since day one. My day one guys, the boys at Cheetah Stands. Cheetah Stands, they make amazing stands that house your lighting gear. And I'm telling you right now, when you have thousands of dollars of lighting gear, you want to put them on stands that are going to be top notch, that are going to get you through the day, and that are going to protect your stuff. They're durable. They're long lasting, and I mean it when I say you buy one stand, that's the last stand you're going to buy for a very, very, very long time. But if you go to cheetahstands.com, use the promo code podcast, they will hook you up and just reach out to them, let them know you're a fan of the podcast, and they'll make sure that you're taken care of. Our next sponsor is also Pro Prints. Pro Prints, they make amazing canvas acrylics. I always harp, if you're gonna stand out to your appliance, you want to give them wall art that's going to match your brand, and this is one of the best places to go to. Pro Prints, they have been around for a very long time. They are a supporter of the photography community as well as the podcast. Shoot a comment and just write in free canvas on the Instagram page when we drop this next episode, and we'll see if we can hook you up with a free canvas, because I'm a believer of showing before talking about it. So I want to show you how great it is, and we giving out a few of the free canvases to the listeners of the podcast. Lastly, our last sponsor, one of my favorites, if you're into underwater photography, Outtex. Outtex has been with me since my underwater journey started this year, and they've been, a help part of my growth and giving me amazing equipment to protect my gear when I go underwater. They can go anywhere from deep water to just shallow swimming pool. But if you want to protect your gear, Outtex is one of the best places to go to. Just go to outtex.com, mention the podcast, and they will be sure to take care of you. That's all I got this week for the sponsors. And thank you again for tuning into the show. My guest this episode is one that I've been super excited about doing. If you know me, you know that I got my education in photography. It wasn't the most formal way of doing it, but I hopped on this little thing called YouTube. And over the years, you come across some great YouTube personalities, and they give you just a wealth of knowledge, and they simplify what it is that we love about photography, what we want to do. And this man is no different. So over the years, I came across this nice little page, and I got a soft spot in my heart because he is a Texas boy like yours truly, except he represents the southern region of Texas. So he's coming to us from Mission, Texas. My man, Francisco Hernandez. Francisco, man, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just happy to be on the podcast. I love talking about photography.
Thank you, man. Thank you for taking time out of your day and coming on the show. Like, it's funny is over the if I had to say my timeline of when I actually came across you, is probably 3-4 years for sure. I think it was maybe COVID is where I really started coming across a lot of your videos. But I didn't actually meet you in person, which is the sad part, is because we're both Texas boys and we never crossed paths in our own home state. But it was actually this summer in Atlanta at the Boca Summit. I got to finally see you in action, see you live and in living color, doing what you love doing. I mean, when I say you simplified lighting for me and just lighting on the go, the one light setup, just, beauty dish, strobe, make it happen. I loved it, man. You had a group of people following you. Then even afterwards, we went shooting at night and everything, and just took some amazing images. One of them actually won me my contest for the fashion portraits on Behind the Shutter, so I was excited about that. It was really in your class that I took that, so
awesome.
Thank you for that. But man, Francisco, man, I'll dive right into it, man. When did you get started? When did you grab that camera and it became more than a hobby? What year was that?
I always tell people that has like several answers, but the best one would probably be in high school. I don't know if it's typical for people to do this, but I had photography. What's it called? Yearbook club.
Yes.
And then I was just happy that the timing was right, because although I'm a very patient guy, I don't think I've ever tried film ever yet, and I know that it takes time. And I just like that instant feedback from when you take pictures on a digital camera. So I started on a digital, I think it was like a Rebel, a Canon Rebel, like like the first XT or whatever, one of the first ones there. And I was just happy that it was digital, and I was able to just see the instant feedback, because I did have a small spark of photography when I was younger on disposable cameras. And I knew that, I wasn't able to see the pictures. I was limited on like 20 pictures or whatever. and I would have to go get them developed like at Walgreens. I got the Walgreens disposable ones. So yeah, I really enjoyed the digital aspect of seeing the picture right away. If you want to delete it, delete it. But that was like my second phase. It was like that part where I was using disposables, then in high school with the digital, and then I had to sit on that for a while because I was doing school. I was at my local university, kind of just consuming all my time. But then I went to the TV film track, and then I needed a camera that could record. So I was just using the brand that everybody else was using at the time at my school, which is Canon. So I had the Canon XDD, and that's probably where I reignited like my passion for photography. But specifically, that's when my lighting kind of journey began because I just invested in several light setups, and then I just tried my best to really tried my best to learn as much as possible with the lighting.
Oh yeah, and I remember saying to someone in Atlanta, I said between you, Sal, Raphael, oh gosh, who else was it? It was like two more people, spaced on names. I said, if you don't walk away better at lighting, then you didn't try because it was so much like lighting education that was just given. And I'm like, you have access to like so many
So
different.
much.
And the thing is, everybody did it their own way, which made it so, like their secret sauce or their special sauce was just amazing. You got it from different angles where you were doing the one light on the go setup, but then you had someone doing four light setup and four lights
Switching
on the go.
wide with the
Yeah,
lighting and
shooting. Yeah, exactly. Shooting with the wide angle lens, but then lighting and people were like, "How are they doing it with the lighting?" Or having the light so up close, or the handheld. Just we were doing so many different things. But that was just to me. I think if you're a fan of photography, if you love holding that camera and just being creative, that was the place to be. That was just a blast to see it and to see it like come to practical use. Now with YouTube, you like I said, your name came. It comes across a lot and everything. They're short videos, but they're easily digestible. What was it about the was that your first break into like education, like saying when did you say I want to teach this but go the YouTube route?
Yeah, so I feel like one thing that holds back a lot of people, including myself, maybe it's just my own way of teaching, but I feel like I want to try my best to be as close as possible to perfect to teach. And that's not my stuff. That's not my videos. I feel like I just want to help people. I know a little bit or a lot about certain subjects, and I have enough to share to help people understand. And I do it in a way that's easy to digest, like you said. So I feel like that was probably like my main drive, wanting to help people. And it definitely was my first kind of formal, one topic kind of way of helping people. But for throughout my entire life, if I could help people in small ways here and there, I would try my best to help. I would be that kid in high school or school in general, where they're like, hey, another student would be like, hey, I didn't do I didn't do the homework. Can I see your paper? And I'm like, yeah, just change some of the wording, so that it's not exactly the same. I would always do my best to just help people out. So YouTube is definitely like the formal way that I got to help people, and then also the way that kind of just propelled my name out there into the photography world.
It is so funny because I remember we were talking about before I hit the record button about how when I first started my education, I couldn't afford anything. So YouTube and Creative Live were like my two like educators.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny, years ago you hear the upper echelon photographers, you need to get a real education in photography. You guys watching YouTube videos, you're not going to go far in it. And yet we fast forward being in the industry now 10 plus years, and YouTube is still prevalent. There's so many new faces out there. There's like a wealth of knowledge, and I literally am at a point where I said, if you don't know how to do something and you didn't check YouTube, you didn't try. You didn't want to learn it in the first place. Like it's
Exactly.
so much, creative knowledge out there. That's what I love about it. And but going back to you, how did you? I guess what was it about lighting that made you say this is the kind of like my go-to bread and butter? Like everybody has what the thing that they're known for. What was it about lighting that drew you to like that aspect of photography?
So the one thing that really drove me to wanting to start lighting in general was just I got lucky that one time I was checking out at a local grocery store at HEB, and I saw sometimes people grab the magazines and then they put it backwards. On the very back of the magazine was a ad campaign for Dior, I believe, and it was Charlize Theron, the actress, was in that, and I was like, I just fell in love with the lighting. I was like, this looks amazing. I want to be able to do this, and it just kind of grew from there. But it definitely was not what I became known for. It was by my learning curve, I guess. I thought I needed several lights at every single photo shoot. And even that, even sometimes I was using the lights that I had, like the several lights, close enough so that it was basically like a one light source. So it was like a learning curve where I learned that, okay, this is too much. I need to break it down. I need to go the opposite direction. I need to start with one light. And then when I started to use one light, I was like, oh, I actually like this. Everything is so evenly lit, because when I was using multiple light setups, I was like, okay, this is going to be this here, that's going to be here. I was basically throwing a lot of light at the subject. And there was like some shadows, sure, but it wasn't like attractive shadows to me. It didn't really define the subject. And then when I started to use one light, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really interesting. I like this. And it has the benefit of it being simpler to do. So I was really excited for that. So I wanted to do my best to kind of use that one light setup, and using the sun as a rim light. I really like that too, because it just helps the subject pop. So just from that horrible experience at the beginning where I was like, using too much, that redirected my whole thought process into using one light. And then it became something that was known for using one light, the sunlight as a rim light. And, I just stuck with that because I really liked it. And I still do enjoy that look today.
Yeah, and like I said, I love, for me, I'm a one light setup fan. That's one of my go tos, simply because I'm always on the go, always moving around. And somebody said something years ago profound to me when I saw someone setting up all these lights for a style shoot. He goes, all those lights are great, but here's the real question that no one ever wants to ask us. What's that? He goes, who's going to carry all this shit? And right when he said that, I go, you got to put, because they had like 3 lights. It was all set up. We are going to take some amazing pictures. He goes, yeah. And everyone says, you need to be able to repeat this with your clients. He's like, that's great, but who's going to carry all this shit? He was like, imagine going through the Dallas Arboretum with 3 stands and 3 lights. And he was like, let's be realistic here. I'm not saying 3 lights isn't awesome. It is awesome, but who's going to carry all this shit? Like that was, so that was kind of, for me, that's what sparked my one light, one light setup, one light strobe. Like I would type in anything and just find stuff. And then of course come across you, TMDD, a plethora of different ones, but like yours stuck out so much. And then we get to see so many different unique styles of photography within yours, not just beauty, not just boudoir, not just fashion, a little bit of everything. So, it's something that could apply across the board. And that's what,
Yeah.
what I loved about it. So with you starting in high school, then starting in college and everything, when did, I guess that turn in photography turn to where it became the career, not the hobby?
That was my when I graduated from my local university in 2014. I don't know if it's probably a very common experience with a lot of people getting out of college that don't know exactly what they want to do. I was just thinking, I need a job. I need to make money. I could use my TV film degree, because that's what I majored in. But I was struggling. And then I even did the part. I don't know if familiar with the brand Cutco knives. And I remember I was like, I don't like this. I want to do something else. And I felt like, I didn't like the salesman aspect of it. Oh, here's the knife. Let me cut the pen, cut the pen cut the penny with the scissors,
Yep.
and the different things. I didn't really like that. And then I was like, you know what? I want to do something that I like. And I was pretty good at photography. I want to try to maybe get better at that, and eventually charge people. So that wanting to do something that I felt like was good and could be better, just really honing my craft, and getting paid for it, I felt like that was a perfect combo. I've always been the type where, like, if I'm happy, even though if I'm like broke, obviously you want to be able to pay your bills, but if I'm happy, then I'm fine. Even if I was broke, I definitely could be living like in a small shed with just one light, one camera, a laptop, internet, and I'd be fine. But I just wanted to do something I loved, get paid for it, and that made me think, okay, how do I do that? How do I make that into a career? And I just scoured online. I think we mentioned Creative Live. There's different courses that you could kind of search for online to figure out how to make it into a paid thing. That I started doing that. But obviously, I'm not gonna say like, oh, I started doing 10K weddings or stuff. No, I was definitely at the starting point where I was like, okay, $60 for 2-hour photo shoot, even if it's an hour drive, don't worry about it, and I'll give you all the photos on a hard, not a disk drive, but a CD.
CD, yeah, you were in the CD.
So so that I would say, do as I say, not as I do. Don't do that.
Did you have that moment when you first started? Like I just remember my first batch of Vistaprint business cards, and then the first
I did the same thing.
time I got those branded CDs, or the branded DVDs, because I was, I'm fancy and I got the jewels, the custom jewels and everything, and I had the stickers and I'm putting like the 100 of them together. I'm like, yeah. And then all of a sudden they start making laptops with the CD-ROMs, and I was like, you son of a! I just spit out.
You know.
So at this point, I'm just giving them out or whatever. But I just remember those early days when it's like you couldn't. Those to me, I always say the early days were the fun days because we made all the mistakes
Yep.
and we did it with a smile on our face because no one was telling we didn't know any better. But I mean, just remember that those Vista print cards until you came across that first person that had
Uh-huh.
the Moo business cards, and you're like, oh wait, there's levels to these business cards.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember. I remember that. That's a throwback because I remember I was like, "Holy crap, these are way better, but they're
oh yeah,
expensive." But the
oh yeah, of
Visprint was
course,
like, "Here's like 250 for $10." So I can't remember the
yeah,
prices, but I remember it
oh
was
yeah,
cheap.
that was about right. Yeah, $10 sounds about right in back in the day. We sound God, we sound so old right now. Yeah, back in our day,
I know.
but I always equate, like I jokingly say, when we were doing business cards back in the day, it reminded me of that scene from American Psycho where they all like pull out their business cards and they're
Yeah.
comparing them.
Ooh, the lettering. Oh,
Yeah. Oh my God, he has a watermark. My God,
yeah,
he has a watermark, and it's like everyone was like, oh, you can feel the embossing of it, and like this is the font, and it's like and I'm just like, God, they're just business cards. Looking back at it, it's like we were such like clowns over this stuff, and it
yep,
was but again, it was the fun days. We started with the CDs, then the DVDs, then the thumb drives, then the USB-C drives. Now it's like no drives. He's like, do we even use these anymore? And
yeah.
now we're doing apps and cloud, and just it's crazy, and it's always changing, and you just got to stay involved with the times. But when you first started out, when did you feel like you had your breakthrough, like where you turned that first corner where you started seeing like, oh, this might be an actual job, or this might be a career, not just, hey, I got, I made a couple dollars on the weekend. When did you feel that transition?
So I'm not sure if this is like a lot of people feel this way, but I feel like a lot of money goes into weddings, and if you get the right clients, the weddings, the clients that are hiring for your wedding, they'll pay you well. It is a tough job to do, and it's once in a lifetime, hopefully. But I think when I started to do weddings, I was like, okay, this is, I guess, lucrative. Not to sound greedy, but it was lucrative, and I felt like I did a good job. Like I felt like I worked well under pressure, so I kind of liked that aspect. I liked a lot of things that involve wedding photography. Very important moments. The sentimental parts with the family members and capturing moments that are important to people in their lives. So I felt like when I started to do wedding photography, I felt like that was the way that kind of paid more bills, and I still loved it. The only thing I didn't like, and the reason why I actually stopped taking clients for a couple of years, was like the whole part where, oh, 2 years from now on this date, or a year from now on this date, you have to kind of set aside this time. And I I am very much a family man, and when it comes to my family, they're very spontaneous. So there'd be some instances where my nephew was graduating from his little kindergarten or first grade, and I missed it because I was doing something to do with client work, and it really broke my heart. Like, thankfully, I got into the point where I shifted from photography and taking clients on to education, and that allowed me to be more flexible with my time. So that I was really, I guess, fortunate and lucky that it was able to go that route, because I know a lot of times, people have to do those, they have to do like a normal job. You have to set aside this time in the future for this date, and that's the job. You got to miss certain things. But for me, I was very fortunate that I was able to kind of just change it from the typical kind of job to a more relaxed educational kind of way. So it went from wedding photography and evolved from there to education, and I've been happy to be in this kind of spot since.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, I still love the grind of the weddings, and I'm still gonna push to do the wedding at a high level. I want to continue that for at least a few more years. I'm starting to do more
Yeah,
portrait work because I get my creative challenges at the portrait side because the weddings, it's like, yeah, I have some creativity, but ultimately it's telling their story, and sometimes their story doesn't fit the creativity that I want to do, but it's more so like
exactly.
about executing their story. So, which I have no problem doing. But then when I get into portraits, now I get to be an artist. Now I get to say, you know what? Let me try this, and That's what jump like doing things like underwater photography or playing with more lights or using props, using smoke, using different things that give us a creative element, using gels, just all these different things that we can encompass and be creative with versus the standard. All right, put your head this way, turn your eyes toward the light, take the
Yeah.
picture, and then go on to the next poses. I'm not doing a sequence of poses like you essentially like you would with a wedding. You have your poses that you go with, and they're gonna look good. She's wearing this type of dress. I want to put her this way. I'm gonna put the groom this
Yeah.
way. Oh, she's got a long train. Let's feature the train. Okay, she's wearing a long veil. Let's feature the veil. Oh, we got a beautiful bouquet. Let's go ahead and use this poses to incorporate the bouquet. Like we get to be creative in those aspects, but then it's like when you get to do you have a subject or whether it's working with a model or a senior, and now we get to slow it down. Now it's
Yeah.
not about trying to get 500 pictures in less than an hour. Now it's okay, we can slow down. Now we can be creative and do all that. That's a great, and which is a great segue to what have you been able to do over the years to maintain your creativity and in some cases be creative at a high level, because like I said, I can watch all of your videos over and over again and it never feels like I'm watching the same video.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I feel like, even at one photo shoot, if you have several photographers there, it's like you guys can all create different things. And that's why I don't mind being very open with my photography because I feel like nobody can copy my brain in my style or whatever I might see. But I've been fortunate to do kind of educational stuff. So I think we mentioned YouTube. I do YouTube videos, but I also consume a lot of YouTube videos as well. Not so much in the past, maybe 2 to 3 years. I kind of took a backseat intentionally because I didn't want to like kind of unintentionally copy people because I felt like that might have been the case for some different videos. But so I didn't want to do that. So I haven't been consuming a lot in the past couple of years. But from 2000 and whenever YouTube came, 2015, 2005. I'm thinking I'm old. And I was like, when did YouTube come out? So then I was thinking, oh no, what? Are you
I'll
gonna
say
say something?
YouTube. I was gonna say YouTube came out I think mid 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah, 2005. But I was thinking like YouTube came out a while ago, but it wasn't until a certain point where more photography videos, started to come out. And I'll try and think about when I started to consume. And I think I started to consume a lot around like maybe 2012 to 2000, maybe 2011 actually to 2016. And I felt like, you know what? I was seeing a lot of people try different things. So I was like, you know what? I want to try, you know, some things as well. I felt like I was doing the one light stuff for a long time. So then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try gels and I'll try other stuff. And again, thankfully, I have been able to do more kind of creative shoots, that's not paid client stuff. And that really kind of helps me a lot when it comes to creativity. I'm like, maybe I'll try this lens for this, this vintage lens for this cool look in the background. Or maybe I'll try this lighting, even though I don't really do that lighting a lot. Just trying to do things honestly, forcing yourself. The forcing part is really important because I am very much a type of photographer that gets into their comfort zone. So whenever the few times that I've been forced out of my comfort zone, that really did help my creativity because I was like, what, I would usually use this as a crutch. I would fall into this, this method this way, but now I can't do that. So what else do I do? So then it kind of, again, it forces you to be creative. It literally forces you to be creative. So I think just doing that, it's easier said than done because I can say for you guys, on your next photo shoot, you know, even if it's paid work, maybe not do that, but use this lens or you force yourself to just use one prime. It's easier said than done. So I think just doing the effort to do that, to really force yourself out of your comfort zone can really lead to some really creative kind of work.
Nice. I love it. Yeah. Like for me, I'm making new challenges where I'm, next year I'm telling everybody once a month, go on the Facebook group, get a model that will do time for pay, and then do little things like write down a certain lens, write down gel,
Yeah.
write down a strobe, write down like one light, two lights, whatever, and then just go in the hat and just draw out little things like, okay, 85 millimeter lens, blue gel, and three lights. Okay, that's going to be your challenge, and then just call them and say, hey, we're doing this. Let's make it happen. I
Yeah.
say, and if you do that 12 times next year, that's 12 different ways of being creative and just growing, growth. But
Yeah.
when we start from the beginning, because you've been around long enough, so you've been around and you've seen the waves of different educators and how to learn and how to become a better photographer. Who were your early influences?
That's a good question. My early influences, there's actually, the thing is they didn't make any YouTube videos. So that's the thing I wanted to mention earlier, that I think everybody has it easy now in terms of like education online. They have so much, so many options to choose from when it comes to learning photography or specifically off camera flash, me being one of them. But back when I was trying to learn as much as possible in 2011, my options were extremely limited, extremely. Like I was like the type to scour the entire internet and look for little golden nuggets here and there. And then when I found some, I was like, holy crap, this guy actually is pretty open with this stuff, because a lot of people gatekeep. But
Yeah.
yeah, so the main one that comes to my mind right away is Joey L. He's a photographer that's probably most known for doing the first Twilight movie poster. It's the one where, you know, Edward Cullen is looking this way, and then Kristen Stewart's character Bella is looking a certain, the opposite direction, but their heads are close to each other. He was very young when he kind of blew up. He was like 20, 19 maybe. And so he's been really successful over the the start of his career, and I followed him for a while because, again, he was like the only one that was open about how they took their pictures. And I remember, like, behind the scenes videos now, you can find a lot, but back then it was like if you found one for like the it was the only one you would find that year. So I was really a big fan of him because of not only because his skill level was good, but the fact that he was open to sharing how he did certain things. So Joey L is definitely probably the biggest one. He's honestly my favorite photographer ever for many reasons, but the biggest reason is that I actually got to meet him once, and he was super chill, super awesome, very humble, and I was just really happy that was the case, because I'm a very much the type that believes in don't meet your heroes, because there's been some instances where I did meet somebody that I was a fan of, and then after meeting them, I was like, maybe I'm not a fan after all.
Yeah.
So I was happy that Joey L existed, and he was very helpful online, and he also had fun with it. Sometimes he would do a YouTube video for fun, and I thought that was very. I think a lot of people, when as they get older, they forget to have fun, and I think that's something that I kind of keep at the forefront of my mind whenever I'm able to do that. So I was really big fan for different reasons: his skill level, his drive, openness to sharing and having fun. So I think Joey L is probably the easy answer for me. There's been other kind of influences here and there, but they were the type that just kind of posted in a Facebook group, and I was appreciative of the work and their openness to share the settings and how the lighting was. But the impact that Joey L had on me was probably the biggest, easily the biggest.
Nice. No, I love it. Love it. And I love how you mentioned a key point of when you're out there, have fun, especially when, because hey, obviously it's easier said than done, especially when you're on your paid gigs, because you want to be focus driven, and, you want to make sure that you're executing for your clients. But we tend to forget when we go to the conferences and, we go to the shootouts or the events, the style shoots, you name it, when we get to be behind the camera and it's not about the money anymore, we
Mm-hmm.
forget those two words, which is have fun. And, and I remember telling my daughter that, she just, because she was on a shoot with me, and she just goes, I've seen you at wedding. And then she seen me at a regular shoot, we're just, working with models, doing what we love doing. And she says, I've seen you, I saw you having fun versus at a wedding, you're so serious. And I said, well, it's weddings, I'm required to be serious, but because I
Yes.
have a story, because I'm telling a story, I got brought in to tell a story. Now I'm in front of these models. There's no story to tell. They're just, let me be creative. Let me be, let me be the painter. Let me be let me play the music. Let me, whatever art I want to create. This is my moment to do it. Have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the money. Forget about all those things. It's about, creating something amongst my peers, and then that just general respect we have for each other for the art that we're creating. And I, love being in those
Yeah.
moments. And like I said, when you said don't meet your heroes, I mean, I've been a victim of that. I've met some amazing photographers, some that were, I didn't know they were amazing. And then I met them, like, I'm so glad I met you. I'm so glad
Yeah.
that I stumbled upon you. And I mean, like I said, when we were in Atlanta, the fact that you taught your class, but then even afterwards, you're like, hey, I'm going to do some more. And that's, even if he does 20 minutes, it's awesome. I look up, I went an hour with you, and then I was like, dude, I got to get something to eat, but thank you so much. Gave you a hug. I went and got something to eat, came back, and I think you guys were still out and about
I
just in
think we're
Atlanta. I'm like,
yeah.
and I was like, yes, this is what it's about right here. And I really,
Yeah.
because one of the people that was in that group was is a friend of mine. So I was like, he's like, dude, he was like, Francisco, that guy's, he's a beast, man. He was like, I was getting tired. He's like, I can't believe you left. I'm like, I was hungry. I said, as much as I want to be creative, I'm still a fat boy at heart. I had to eat some dinner. But getting to meet you, getting to meet your wife, and then your openness and your willingness to not gatekeep and just share the information.
Yeah.
But I did, when I did reach out to my inner circle and tell them I was going to have you on the show, I did get asked a fan question. They said, what is your favorite one light setup?
For me, that's a good question, because you know how you can kind of the answer can change every now and then. One thing that I've always done is the like Rembrandt style, which is like using lights that at like a bit of a 45-degree angle. That is the one that I've always gravitated to time and time again, like at every photo shoot. So I would say Rembrandt specifically because I'm not going to gatekeep. I'm going to just throw one word answer. Specifically with 45-degree angle, maybe the subject's facing that light, and then it's maybe like about 10 inches to a foot above their eye level, aimed a little bit down. I don't really use grids because of laziness, so no grid. And then ideally, golden hour sunlight hitting the back of them. That's not too intense, and with the cloud filled day. So I'm describing all these extra stuff. You just asked me about light setup, but that's probably the ideal conditions for a good shot.
I literally have a list. So the next one was a softbox versus beauty dish. Which one's your favorite?
For the technical photographers out there, they're like, beauty dish needs to be made out of metal and not foldable. Like softboxes. I just like the availability of them being, they can be portable. Like if we're being technical and I had to say, metal beauty dish or foldable softbox, foldable all the time. I've been that, again, I've been doing this for a while, and again, people are spoiled now where they have softboxes that fold down easily, but back when I was really trying to learn lighting, it was the ones that had metal rods and you had to really break your arms to really assemble them. So I'm just spoiled by foldable softboxes now. Like if I can fold the softbox, I'll if I can have a foldable modifier versus a not foldable, I'm gonna use the foldable.
I'm not gonna ask this one just due to sponsorships, conflicts. I don't want it because they were saying asking which brand does it, Westcott versus Pro Photo versus. I said I'm not gonna do that one. I'm just gonna say that I still use Westcott's majority of the time, but my second shooter uses Godox, so we'll be at shoots. Everybody has their own lights, which hey, I don't got to worry about nobody hitting my triggers but
yeah.
But no,
Well,
but with lighting, okay, so you got your portable, like ones like your 200 watts. Most of them are really small and portable versus a 400 versus a 600. What's kind of like your go-to? Like, okay, you're gonna go out there work with one subject. You need to pick one light. You need to pick one modifier. What's your go-to there?
oh yeah, so that's easily going to be my favorite light of all time, probably right now. I wish they upgraded it in certain ways, but it's the 300 Pro, the Explore. If you're going by Adorama's naming system, it's the Flashpoint Explore 300 Pro, and also known as the Godox AD 300 Pro. That one is my sweet spot because I love the size of it. The amount of power is exactly where I need it to be for my specific lighting purposes. How I have it really close to the subject, even in very bright sun. If I'm using an ND filter with that light, I already know that I can tackle pretty much everything that I need to. The fact that I can carry two in my bag easily, my camera bag, I love the light. I love that light so much. That's the one I'm always grabbing. I haven't been grabbing it lately though, because I've been using some of the lights that came out here and there that I had to review. But it's the one I really gravitate to. It's my favorite light.
Nice. And then you still shoot Canon, right?
No, I did try Canon for a bit, and I've been again. I've always want to be appreciative to whoever lends me things, and I have a friend in Corpus who just has so much gear. He's a very successful guy. He works hard all the time, so it's not like a surprise why he has all this gear. But for me, I always try to remain humble, and I'm like, oh, I'm happy with my 2 cameras, 3 cameras. One's old, whatever. But he has like the latest and greatest all the time. And he let me the Canon R5 when it was the only one, because I think there's a R5 Mark II now. I don't even keep up with So he let me the R5 with the 28-70 f2, and I used that for maybe half a year. And I did like it. I really did like it, but I felt like I think because the file sizes are 50 or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, if you shoot them uncompressed, yeah, they could be like 48.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just also the size. I love the range that you get 28, but I'm very much a prime guy, and I feel like I would rather have like a smaller lens. Like even my Sigma Art 35 f1.2, which is like my favorite prime, it's smaller than the 28-70 f2. But obviously you're not getting the same thing at all. But I just felt like it was too bulky. Like I guess I was shooting Sony for a long time, where I was used to the size of the body and the size of the lenses. And I felt like the 28-70 on the R5 was just too bulky. So
yeah,
I tried it. Yeah.
And it's so funny because I know so many people that get the 27 and they're like, I love it, but God, it's heavier. They can't do the one hand, like, hold it out.
Oh no, yeah.
It's like, you forget that it's like I got 5 seconds and I'm dropping it because my arm gives out.
Yep.
So
1, 2, 3, go.
And it's like you go from that to when you first, yeah. There was an era in my career where all I wanted to shoot with was primes. I had the 7200. That was the only zoom I had, and then I wouldn't even use my 2470 to sit in the bag the entire time. But
Mhm.
I was always, if I could, 24 double camera. I was doing that for the longest,
Nice.
and I loved it. Yeah, 80. I still to this day, 85 is probably my favorite lens. Which one do I use the most now? Probably 2870, but when it's the wedding, that's what we go back to the creativity versus storytelling.
Yeah.
Storytelling, I'm going to bring out the tools that's going to help me tell that story. When I'm being creative, I don't even pull out my zoom lens. I'm using a prime lens, a 50 and 85. That's all I put on there. I don't need to worry about shooting wide because most of the time, unless it dictates where we're shooting at, I don't need to worry about getting this 15 millimeter wide whatever structure. We're probably going to be in a tight space anyway, so 50 and 85 is my sweet spot anyways, and then I could just stand next to somebody and get these really cool close shots or whatever. So I definitely love primes like then I just zoom with my feet.
Yeah, yeah. If you can zoom with your feet, then I would definitely do that. But like you said before, like weddings or something else, some areas require that distance, like a 70 to 200. If you're like was it shooting in like what's it called, the ceremony, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like some churches are like, no, you can't be anywhere towards the front, so you have to use a 70 to 200.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
And even
so
like with some of the venues we go to when we shoot outdoor weddings, I want to use my 7200 specifically just because I want to crop out all the crazy extra stuff on the side and
yeah, for
everything.
sure,
I want to get all that out of the way and just focus on the bride and groom and make that look beautiful. But then it's like if you zoom all the way out, then you're going to see these orange cones and you're going to see this and you're going to see a car back there and you're going to see whatever. So it's like let me zoom in tight, get all the distractions out of the way so I can just focus on the couple.
exactly.
But it's like I see people that will do portraits with the 7200. That's where I struggle. I cannot be out in the street with a 7200 because it's like I'm like way far back there yelling and I'm like, hey, hold on 1 second. But I see people do it all the time, but I'm like, hey, more power to you. That's where it's like give me the 50, the 2470, or see my 2870, the 50 and the 85. And if I need to do something, where it's tight space, then I'll have the 1535 is just in case.
Yeah, yeah.
But
There's
yeah,
so many aspects about photography. My brain's just going through. I'm like, yeah, I totally agree with you because yeah, with the 7200, like, and
the yeah,
I'm thinking so many things, and it's just like I need to chill. I need to chill.
And it's like it's funny is like how many times have you gone on done it, completed a shoot, and then you get done, you go, oh, I totally forgot to do this, and it's like you have that checklist.
I've had a vintage lens on my
Mm-hmm.
desk since 2018, maybe, and every other shoot, I remember I'm like, let me use that lens. I got it a while ago. Let me use that lens, and then it just kept going. It kept going and kept going, kept going. So hopefully, I remember. But there's this model that I've been working with a lot lately who loves pictures, who loves her pictures taken, and she's like, I have a fall outfit, and let's just wait for it to be a little bit fresh because it's actually been for anybody not in Texas, it's been fresh these past couple of days, which is not common. It's usually hot all the time. But she was like, let's wait for a fresh day and we'll shoot. And I'm like, okay, don't forget, use that lens. It's a Helios 55 millimeter, I think it is. It's known for swirly bokeh. So it's like
Okay.
a vintage lens that's known for that. So I'm like, don't forget. So hopefully I don't.
Nope. Just put it in your bag now so you don't forget
Yeah,
it.
actually, no, just put it in my bag.
Put it in your bag and put it on your camera right now. You won't. Like as soon as you grab it, like, oh, can't forget it now. It's on.
Yeah,
I'm committed.
I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna do that immediately after this photo shoot. Put it on the camera.
Just put it on the camera. Can't back down now because then you should be like, oh, well, looks like I got to use it.
Yeah.
I did get another question that would ask, what has been one of your favorite shoots to date? Do you have one that just stands out?
Yes, there have been several where it was just nothing but like I take a picture and I really like what I'm seeing, like what I'm creating. And I think for the underlying reason behind that is that when I was starting with lighting and photography in general, I'd have these ideas in my head in these ways that I'm seeing an image, and then not knowing how to execute it was the frustration part. And so the shoots where all the things I had in my head and I was able to execute them, those were the ones where I was like, it feels good. It feels like it's like reassurance that you know what you're doing because you had this idea in mind and then you took it. And actually, it's one of my most viewed videos. It's the review I have of that, my favorite light. Like I said before, the 300 Pro. It was like a tennis court themed photo shoot. I was like, even the first shot that I took, I was like, okay, I have this idea in mind. The sky looks so beautiful there, and then the sun's over here. There was no clouds, And then I was like, okay, so the sky would have a nice gradient between the blue because when the sun gets closer to it, it'll start to overpower it with the glow that it has, the orange. And so I had all these ideas in my head. I was like, okay, to get that in the background, I'll go at a low angle, and maybe I'll have her pose this way, and at this angle, not only just a low angle, but a low angle to the side. Just I had all these ideas, and I was executing them, and then it was just everything was worked really well there. The stars aligned that day, so that was probably my most favorite shoot ever because of all those reasons of having the vision and executing it, and then just having a good time again, having a good time, even though I was doing a photo shoot for a review. It was just a lot of, a fun time because the videographer was a friend of mine and I was shooting with a friend and my wife was there. It was just a good day. It was really just a good day with good photos.
And this is a great segue into the next one. Has there been a location that, I don't know how much traveling you do. I know you've done some, but has there been a location that just stands out where you're like, every time if you get to go there again, or it won't, it's not soon enough, you can't wait to go back there again, or just places that you just bring it out of you?
My mind is like kind of have like a little bit of a block because I've gotten to become known for taking average locations and making them into something else. So I can't think of anything right off the top of my head, but I was able to shoot in Japan before.
Oh, nice.
So I was just I was just kind of in awe of everything. It was the number one place I've always wanted to travel, and I was fortunate enough to travel there 2000. Okay, I'm free in the years 2018, I believe. So I was just like, holy crap, this is awesome. So I think that would probably be the place that I would love to shoot again because I was able to shoot in some really nice locations, like with cherry blossoms and stuff. So I think that's probably the place where I was like, you know what, I was able to shoot here, but I would love to come back and just only shoot because I was with Sony at the time and we had kind of like time limit of like we're gonna be in this spot for an hour, this spot for an hour, and we did honestly hit a lot of awesome spots, but the relaxation part wasn't really present.
It's hard to have fun when you got a time limit. Like, I can't have too much fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm the
Nah, I
type
get
where
it.
I don't like being rushed, so I'm like I'm gonna be here, and whenever I finish with this spot, then I'm moving. But obviously, it wasn't the case. So I would love to go back to Japan, just have some fun with shooting there.
That's how it was a few years back. When we were in Las Vegas, we were shooting in the desert, and we were supposed to like,
Yeah.
we're only gonna be here for 90 minutes, and then next thing you know, we literally were out there for hours. We had one of my friends like literally went and did a food run because we were there for so long. Like, he just was like, I'm gonna go get some food. I was like, go ahead. And we had people on dune buggies. We are like, hey, we just every crazy idea we could think of, we were doing it. Every, style. Like, I want to do a shoot through. I want to do a low to the ground, and I want to get this, the dust to come up behind them or whatever, and the sun glare. Like, just everything you could think of, we were doing it. And we were cooking. And I was like,
Mm,
I'm so glad we didn't, it was like one of those rare times where not sticking to the timeline and not sticking to the plan worked out, because
yeah.
everyone was like, well, we're going to miss doing all the pictures and the strip like we wanted to. By the time we got back, sun was down, all the strip lights were on. I said, you know what? Let's go out there with an 8200 and let's just, bare boba and just go on the strip. And we just did that, kind of like that, what they call it, the running gun, different
Yep.
places in front of here. And we just, again, it was being fun. It was almost like being a kid again as a young photographer when you're early and just taking all those risks versus, you know, high risk, high reward type thing. We were just having so much fun. And it was like, oh, this is what it's meant to be. This is, no, we're not thinking about the sponsors. We're not thinking about, competitions and print comps or anything like
Yeah.
that. The things that, what we're known for, we're getting to be, just sit back, take off our owner hat for once and just be artists and have fun. It was just a blast. So I totally
That
get it.
sounds awesome.
Yep. And speaking of Vegas, you're going to be teaching again, right? In WPPI?
Oh, yeah, good segue there. Cause yeah, I'm gonna be in Vegas again. I think a lot of people were a little down that it was like away from the strip. Now it's gonna be at the Rio because I like to be a part of that, busy street kind of. I actually like that. Like New York Times Square. I love the fact there's so much things going on. So I wish the location was different, but yes, I'm gonna be at WPPI.
Well, just so everyone out where the Rio is not that far off the strip. It's very close to the
It's not,
strip.
yeah, it's not too far. Yeah.
It's not too far, but I still they did the renovations. I actually got to visit there not too long ago, and the renovations, the hotel looks great. I'm optimistic that it's going to be a great show, and I think it's going
Yes.
to allow us to be more focused and not over the years. It's been okay. We got a conference here, but everyone's scattered still. I think if everyone, it'll bring back that original glory, like when we first went there.
Actually,
Like
I was gonna say I agree with you. Like I'm going through my head. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
because when I first did WPPI was 2013, so that was the first conference I ever went to.
Wow.
It was when they did it at the MGM Grand, and everybody was like at the MGM Grand, and a few would stay at the hotel across the street. But everything was like centrally located, so it was like you didn't have to go off all over the place. You were right there, and everything was right there. And I think over the years when they started switching the locations, and then they're using a smaller hotel or they're using a convention center, everyone was scattering. There's 100 photo walks going in 100 different directions versus if we get it all in one spot, we could probably get that old glory back of getting all the
Yeah.
photographers under one roof and really bouncing some creative ideas. So I'm excited. Like I said,
Yeah. That's
I
such
think
a
it's going to
good
be a
point.
great show.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But now that you mentioned that, I fully agree with you because I've been going since 2015 because it was honestly, I don't know about other people, but it's cheap to fly from here where I live to there. So it was like the one conference that I was going to go to no matter what because other conferences is pretty expensive for me to go to. But the one WPPI has always been affordable for me to go to. But I agree with you because sometimes as the years go by, it was, like you said, scattered. But I feel like now that, like you mentioned that, it's like, yeah, okay, everybody's gonna be here, and they have to be here, but it's a good in that aspect. Everybody's gonna be more
More
together.
networking, more camaraderie,
Yeah,
more building, and then it's not like, well, hey, is so and so going to be too? Well, what hotel are they staying at? Because then you find out these people are at the Cosmopolitan and these people are at
yeah,
Mandalay Bay, and this person's staying. You're like, man, I stayed at the Hard Rock for no reason. You thinking you're
yep.
staying at the host
All
hotel,
right.
and you might see them during their classes, but after that, they scatter to back to their hotel. Everyone hops in an Uber or cab, and they're scattering again. So again, that's where the optimism comes into play. And again, I went to WPPI in 2013, and then I took a break and didn't come back until 2020. But I've gone every year because one, I love the city. Vegas is one of my favorite cities, but it's for me, it's the opportunity to network with friends, see old friends, catch up on everything, and just be
Yeah,
creative and get to just be a student. I'm not obligated to do anything, but just sit back and learn and have fun and go to some amazing style shoots and just get to be creative. So that's what I like
yeah,
about it.
yeah. I agree with you. It's just been like if anybody hasn't gone and they're listening to this, it's like what's it called? Like a kid in the candy store. Like
Oh yeah,
it's everything that you love about photography is there. It's just this lens company, that lens company. You get to see it in person, new things that are going to come out. Actually, this past year there was a light called the Lux Master that came out that looks like a lightsaber from Star Wars.
yep,
Or
I remember.
some people think of it as the neuralizer, that thing that makes you forget in Men in Black.
Yeah, the little beauty dish kind of built in. The
Yeah,
little bit. It was a fun thing to play with, and I think low light single person shoot. It was just a cool tool to have.
yeah, yeah. So that's a good thing about these conferences, especially WPPI. You get to see things ahead of time and play with it. If the people are cool at the booth are cool, letting you try it out, then you can try new things and things that maybe you wouldn't even necessarily be able to try because there's some lenses that are expensive as hell that I would either have to rent or really like make it an investment. But if you're there, they might be cool with you taking pictures at the around the expo floor. So I really like
Oh
that.
yeah. Absolutely. I said the two conferences I go to every year now for sure. The kind of like my two guarantees is WPPI and Shutterfest.
Hmm.
So and obviously everybody knows my love for Shutterfest, but it's like, obviously timing is everything. So it's like you can't do it all, but if you can do one or the other, it's like, just to me, I think getting out there is important, seeking your education. And then as a student, you're in control of your education. So you control what you learn and don't learn. Just like when
Yeah.
you go on YouTube, you control what you watch or pay attention to. So,
Hmm.
I always say in 2025, make it an effort to, you know, go for it, go for it, take a chance on yourself, get 1% better every day, and use
Hmm.
these opportunities to just meet your heroes because most of them are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Francisco isn't gonna big boy. He's not gonna walk in like with the entourage of 30 people between you and
Hell.
him. Can I have your autograph? Hold on. He pulls out a stamp book. He just stamps your
Like,
paper.
hold on.
Hold on. You're allowed one selfie with me real quick. Just one selfie. You can only get my left
I've met
side.
those types, man. I've met those types. I'm not dropping any names. I'm not
I'm not
gonna.
gonna jump in, but I've been there too. I'm like, is he serious? And then like the guy, because I'm a guy, so the guy in me was like, I could kick your ass in a fist fight, right? You really big boy. Like, I want to be like, bitch, don't act like you're too good for Waffle House.
Exactly.
I always say like the ones where they get so big where they forget like what it's like to eat off the dollar menu. Like, you're not that famous. Come on, bro.
I'm about to get Little Caesars after we're done.
Thank you. My wife made chicken wings and fries tonight. Like, yeah, we're dude. And I'm rich, damn it. He was like, no, I gotta have caviar on my chicken wings. Like, what, bro? Calm down.
I'll
It's like,
never, and I hope that this has never been the case, but I really don't. I try to keep, be realistic about how I am. I don't ever want to be like that. I never want to be like that.
yeah, like it's the pompous attitudes, thinking you're an elitist, or you go to like say I'll use WPP as an example. You go there, you only going to eat at the finest restaurants. I'm like, dude, you're gonna go broke. We're gonna go get some stuff, make some sandwiches. Like we're gonna be realistic here. Like my food budget per day is $30, and I'll do one nice dinner while I'm there. We'll go to this one steakhouse and that's it. But we're not doing steak and caviar every night. I'll go broke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not like that at all.
I need you to act like Papa John's pizza isn't below your standard.
I always tell people if they're gonna take me out to somewhere, I'm a cheap date because I don't want to ever burden anybody with like a big bill. I'm like, you know what, whatever's cheap, I'm fine. I'm good with that.
Oh yeah, and again, I'll eat at regular restaurants. Like Cheesecake Factory. How dare you take me there? Like, dude, I love cheesecake. Do you not know when we go on these late shoots, that junk food that we love, cheesecake after a long shoot is amazing. And if you haven't done it, that's my challenge to you in 2025. Go get you a slice of cheesecake. Go on a photo shoot and see if you don't enjoy that. Yeah. See if you don't enjoy that cheesecake after your photo shoot. That's gonna be the hashtag Cheesegate.
That's where it's gonna hit the most.
Exactly. You're gonna feel so creative, like, wow, I am a great photographer, and this cheesecake is delicious. Marvin just might be onto something.
Exactly.
It's like come home from a wedding, slice of cheesecake, glass of wine, upload the files, whatever, and once everything's uploaded on the hard drive, go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So where else are you gonna be at next year? I know WPPI is on the horizon. Are you coming down? Are you coming up to North Texas during imaging, or are you gonna?
So that I'm a little bitter. And I guess keep this between the podcasts, but like I had the opportunity to be like they have this influencers program, and I had been in talks to be an influencer, and they would have paid for my flight and paid me to do different things. And then the conversation kind of ended not on my half, like it just kind of whoop, no more messages. So I was just like, hey, I kind of wanted to go to that. If my budget was too high, we could have discussed, different things, whatever. But that was going to be my ticket to go because I just, again, like WPPI, I go to every year because it's just very affordable for me. It's just, cheap hotels, cheap flight. Allegiant is the one that I go to. I'm very fortunate that it exists here because it's such a cheap flight. But going to like traveling, or if I'm going in my car and in the hotels, the bills start to add up. All the stuff, the different things. So it was very, very gonna be convenient for me to go to the imaging if they had paid for. I'm not sure even if I would fly. I probably would drive, but they would cover a lot of different fees. And my life is going to be changing in different ways next year that I can't really talk about, where I have to really kind of count every dollar. So I could afford to go, but it'd be an extra added expense. So I'm just trying to make sure, again, every dollar counts. Don't spend gear that you don't need.
Yeah, no unnecessary spending. Yeah.
Exactly, that no unnecessary spending. So I'm a little bitter because I wanted to go and I had the hopes. They were building my hopes up. They're like, hey, yeah, we'll pay for it and we'll pay you if you do this, if you do that. And then boom, it just I got ghosted, and I was just like, damn, I wanted to go.
See, I kind of feel where you're at with especially with the unnecessary spending, because it's like, okay, if I go, I got WPPI March, I got Shutterfest in April, and now I have Boca in July. But I was thinking like, okay, this thing's gonna come in right after Christmas. Every year it's always right there in the beginning of February. I'm coming off of Christmas when I never stick to my Christmas budget. We break it every year. Like we're only spending this much money, and then a few hours later, okay, we just tripled that, but all right, we're good. Don't worry. You know what? Yeah, we spent $3,000. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. And I'm gonna hit them like, oh, God, we should have spent $3,000. But then the kids are happy, the wife's happy. So, and I'm, at the end of the day, we're not out on the street. So I'm like, you know what? It was worth it. But
yeah, I agree.
The only reason is on my radar is because it is in Dallas and it is hometown. And it's like if I don't show it is in my hometown, it's like it's almost like I'm obligated to like I'm not even like probably gonna take any classes. I'm just gonna show up, probably get the expo pass and just
Yeah.
network and see friends. But because they're in my city, like I need a host. It's like being a host of your own city. If you don't show up, like how are you a good representation of your city and your state?
Do you know what date that is? Because you know,
Ooh,
I might be able to find sponsors to pay for it, and I would just love to go again because I think the last time I went was 2 years ago
mm-hmm.
or 3 years.
Oh,
It would
dude,
be
don't
three
even get me
years in
started.
January.
I haven't gone in 10 years. I went in 2014 because it was in Phoenix where I lived at, and then every year after that, it was like, oh, it's in this city. I'm like, I'm not even there.
Yeah,
It's going to be February 2nd through the 4th,
yeah.
so first
I
week of
think
February.
that's. I'm free. I think I'm going to be free. That hopefully I can reach out to some different companies that I'm pretty cool with, and I'll be like, hey, I'll do a photo walk with your gear if you guys pay
Yeah,
for the hotel.
and
So
getting Francisco and Dallas doing a photo walk, like, come on, man, that sells itself alone. Like, no, I mean, for me, it's I want to go just to represent my city, let them know that like Texas photography is alive and well, and we got some killers out here. We got some amazing creatives, and we've got some just amazing photographers, amazing business owners. There's a reason why I've been doing it now 10+ years, and I'm living in a place that allows me to afford a great life. So that's
yeah.
kind of where I'm at with it. I'm going out of obligation to represent my state.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I can go, but right now it's like 50-50. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna have a presence there, but I'm not gonna be like I don't really see myself like diving deep. But I'm not just now. Let me be clear. I'm not discouraging anybody to not go. I'm just saying like I've already got obligations. Getting an expo pass allows me to go do the classes that are on the expo floor, which are usually some great like pop up
yeah.
classes.
Honestly, yeah,
And especially like where they're demoing like because I love the demo classes where they're showing the new stuff, or even if they're using say for instance like 17 hats and showing how to speed up your workflow. Like these are things that are very key to me, and if they're doing like a lunch and learn, I'm all about those type of classes because to me it's like a guest lecture. Like why wouldn't you want to sit in there and learn and get better?
yeah, yeah,
you know
for
so
sure.
I'm going to go under those aspects, and again, just represent Texas photography, and let them know that my city is amazing, and the North
Got a
Texas
rep.
area we have some amazing places to shoot at. That's why I've been like, when are you coming up here, and let's do something like what do we got to do to get you up here, do some cool photo walks?
Yeah, the only thing that sucks is the distance because
Oh man,
otherwise I'm far away from all the major cities. Like San Antonio is 4 hours away. Austin is like an added, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour depending on traffic. And then other big cities above that is like 6 hours, 9 hours. So that's the only thing that sucks. That bit of travel. If I could teleport, I would be all over the world. I'd be
oh
helping people here
absolutely.
and there every day.
But I'm gonna go to Tokyo, then come back to Charlotte, then I'm gonna go to
Yeah,
Chicago, then I'm come back to Dallas, then I'm gonna go to Mexico City, then we'll go to Peru, and I guess we'll swing by Costa Rica if we got time. But
yeah,
it's
exactly.
funny. It's funny. I had a buddy the first time he came through. He was like, "So I've been driving for 8 hours and I'm still in Texas." I said,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah.
welcome. Yeah, that
That's the
sounds about
usual.
right." Yeah, I said, "In about another 8 hours, you might get to the tip of it." He started laughing, but he goes, "Your
Yeah,
state's too big." I said, "I told you it's huge." So when someone
yeah.
says, like, it's not like I would say Maryland, Virginia, where it's like everything's really close by.
I was about to
Everything's
say that.
45 minutes away. Like, no, it's not like that. You drive 45 minutes, you're still in the same city. You're just
Yeah.
trying to get out of it.
I remember that specific area. I remember talking to somebody and they're like in this state nearby. And then you mentioned the state and I was like, damn, how long is that going to be a drive? And they said like an hour and a half, 2 hours from different states. And I'm just thinking Texas. I'm thinking, okay, if just a couple hours, like even I think for me to get out of Texas, if I'm going to beeline just to go to the nearest state, I think it could be upwards of like 6+ hours, maybe 10. So yeah, so I always think Texas up here, and I'm like, damn, you're able to go to two different states in like 4 hours or less. So that's crazy.
That's why I say Texas, it's about the regions. Like I'm North
Yeah.
Texas, you have South Texas, you have East, you have West, you have Central.
Yep.
You know, it's very specific. Like I said, I'm North Texas, and that right there is 4 hours of North Texas.
Yeah, that's why I tell people I'm not South Texas, I'm South Texas because
Yep.
I'm just shoop. Everybody
Yep.
thinks San Antonio.
Nah, Panhandle. There's a whole nother.
Yeah.
But yeah, but hey, man, I don't. You've given me 60 minutes of your time, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today, and let us know what is next on the horizon for you.
Ooh, I think for me, it's just getting back into regularly producing videos on YouTube because I feel like I've been slacking on that, and I feel like there's still stuff that I didn't tackle on this certain aspect of lighting, that certain aspect. So I feel like I just need to get back on the grind on YouTube, and that's probably going to be my biggest focus next year. Just getting back into that habit.
Okay, you got a workshop coming up too, correct?
Oh yes, yeah. I have a workshop on December event in Seattle. So if anybody's from Seattle, you are gonna have the chance to go to it, or you missed it. Depending on when this comes out. But I do plan to do more workshops. I've been thankful that the company Viltrox has been sponsoring a lot of workshops this past couple of months, and I'm doing that workshop in Seattle with them. And I just, yeah, if I can do those free workshops next year, then stay tuned. Follow me on all the social medias.
Yeah, speaking of social media, what's your where can they find you?
I'm available at FJH Photo pretty much everywhere. I think on my Facebook, YouTube, on my Instagram, on all the different things. But yeah, FJH. That's my initials. FJH Photo. You can find me on all the social medias under that.
Awesome. We'll make sure we plug all your stuff in the show notes as well. But again, man, thank you so much, guys. Everybody, Francisco, man, he's amazing. Thank you for giving us your time.
Yeah, no problem.
That's it for this week's show. Again, thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with others. Leave those reviews and check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until then, see you next week.